This story is entitled Forget Me Not, written by Shade of Dark Little Voices. They say that love is one of the most powerful tools mankind has. They also say that love is hard to find. It's why I felt so lucky to have Marcelo. He loved me for me since middle school, and to be honest, I couldn't tell you why. All I knew is that the first time he was nice to me when everyone, including my own father, picked on me for wearing feminine clothes to school. My heart raced like the engine to a race car. We were just kids then as he stood up for me. I, of course, buried my feelings as I didn't want to lose the only person who seemed to care about me. He had short, dark hair and light brown eyes. Compared to me, he was a pretty skinny kid, and at the time I was average built. He introduced himself after helping me to my feet. I had tripped because I was a pretty clumsy kid at the time. I couldn't stop panicking because in the process of falling, I had ripped my sister's pink V-neck shirt that she gave me to wear. Unlike my father, my sister Wanda supported me. She even stood up for me against Dad, who called me all kinds of names that I won't repeat here. Anyway, I'm sure you're wanting to get to the point of why I'm sharing my story. I'll get there, I promise. As I said, Marcelo and I met in middle school and became fast friends. It wasn't until we started freshman year in two different high schools that the problem truly started, and why I'm writing this story. We would meet up after school every Friday like clockwork. I tried so hard to keep my feelings to myself as I had to remind myself the very possibility that if I came out to him, I could very well lose him forever. The irony, as you'll see soon, isn't lost on me. Anyway, we would meet at the same bus stop every Friday to hang out, grab some food, and then head home. I looked forward to riding that second bus to our individual stops every Friday and was sad when it was over. Well, that day, I felt brave. Wanda, who was a year younger than me, kept pushing me to tell him how I felt. So I was prepared to go and finally tell him how I felt, as it was the second to last Friday of the school year. Wanda made me smile throughout the nervousness because she refused to leave till she got me to grow a pair and tell him.
Come on, bro. The most he'll do is reject you, and if he tries anything, I'll kick his ass. It'll be great,
she said to me as she kept pushing me to McCoy's Potato Palace where Marcelo and I ate the most. McCoy sold all kinds of potato foods, but they did have the best veggie burgers that I had ever had. He would tease me of how that's not a real man's burger, as he would bite into this burger filled with multiple condiments on top and between two Angus patties on a sesame seed bun. I wasn't really vegetarian or anything, I just had a preference for what burgers they had. We arrived and it must have taken Wanda almost 5 minutes to calm me down. This is when things got really weird, really fast. We were about to enter the restaurant when Wanda stated,
"What do you think you're going to eat? Your usual?"
I looked at her weird as she started to give off vibes of being a third wheel. I don't think I'll be able to eat. Feels like I got butterflies in my stomach. Had it been anyone else, I would have kept that comment to myself, but if there was anyone I trusted more than Marcelo, it was Wanda.
Oh, Big Bro's finally gonna hook up with someone? Is he cute? Does he go to our school?
I playfully shoved her and thought she was just trying to pick on me, but she eventually stopped being playful and gave me this deer in the headlights look.
Marcus, are you sure you're okay?
Yes? Are you okay? I said, now looking at her as if she had lost her mind.
Mark, I'm happy you found someone, but we never went to school with anyone named Marcelo. I think I would know if we did.
She followed up with a chuckle. I pointed him out and tried to hide my annoyance. I didn't want to get into it with Wanda on the day that I wanted to confess my feelings to him.
Oh, I'm not sure why I didn't remember him. And you're sure he went to our school?
Wanda asked as we started to walk over to him. Yes. Why are you being weird? I stopped to ask her.
I'm not. I just remember a lot of people who went to middle school with us, and he's not one of them.
She said, annoyed. Dude, confessing my feelings to him was your idea. How can you forget an amazingly cute guy like him? I said in a harsh whisper as I hoped he couldn't hear us. All Wanda did was just mumble under her breath as we finally sat down with Marcelo.
Hey, Marcelo.
Despite the small argument Wanda and I had no more than a few seconds ago, she still acted like my wingman. She would make excuses like needing to go to the restroom or that the food took so long. This was it. It was now or never. Marcelo? I need to confess something to you.
Hey, yeah. I need to tell you something too.
My blood ran as cold as ice, and yet my cheeks felt hot. So many thoughts raced in my mind that I almost forgot what I wanted to say to him. I prepared myself for possible rejection.
I don't think I'm gonna make it much longer.
He finally said as he struggled to look away from his barely touched sandwich. Oh my, are you dying? I said as I tried to just be there for him. If he was dying, I still wanted to be by his side. It just hurt to think of all the memories we wouldn't make and how it probably will always feel like he had a clock above his head, reminding him that he didn't have much time left. I could feel Wanda heading back, but she could tell that things were getting serious and proceeded to the refill station.
No, it's nothing like that.
He said as he tried to force a smile on those lips that I'd dreamt of ever since he patched me up on the playground.
Being forgettable is... it's finally catching up to me. I'm sure Wanda has already started showing signs of it.
He said, with a saddened tone that made me feel like I was falling apart. In my mind at the time, I honestly thought that he was going through depression and my sister's stupid remarks from earlier was hurting him more. I was angry, but I chose to focus on Marcelo first. Look, I'm sorry for what you might have overheard, but you're many things. Forgettable isn't one of them, I said with a weak smile. I had hoped it would have some effect on him in a positive way, but all I got was a half-ended smile as he picked up his burger to eat it. I managed to convince Wanda to go home without me. She looked at me bizarrely, but eventually understood and hugged me goodbye. I returned to the table where Marcelo stood. Sorry, I said as I sat across from him. I figured you needed someone to chat with privately, so I...
Don't worry about it. I'm slowly accepting that you're the only one who remembers me. And maybe it's enough to save me.
Man, stop talking like that, I said as I refused to let him beat himself up.
Let me show you something and then maybe you'll understand.
He said as he lifted up his left hand, revealing 3 fingers missing. Jesus Christ! What happened to you? Who did this to you? I said, trying not to make a scene. He took a deep breath and then exhaled.
I'm cursed, Tristan. I stole some flowers that I wanted to give you, and this old hag came into my dreams. You're the only one slowing down the curse.
My face turned as red as a tomato. It was so sweet, yet unexpected. So much that it honestly took me a second to fully process what he said. Wait a minute. Sorry. My mind blanketed out for a moment. What do you mean by I'm the only one slowing down your curse? I said, trying very hard to ignore the fact that he stole flowers from me.
I stole a rare boutique of purple forget-me-nots from my neighbor. I figured she had so many of them, and they remind me of you. The way you love the color purple, to the fact that they're small, but wonderful to look at. I'm sorry. I should stop.
He said, blushing as he tried to hide a smile that craved to bloom into a grin. I tried to keep him focused on the topic, but, well, let's just say teenagers are stupid and leave it at that. Anyway, afterwards it had gotten late in the evening and I had to go home. I wished I could have enjoyed that moment a bit more, but I knew that Dad was already going to be furious with me. I just hoped that I didn't have to listen to more of his bigoted bullshit. I told Marcelo that I would try to help him, but he seemed like he barely wanted to fight to save his life. I can't really say what possessed me to believe that he didn't just cut off his pinky, marriage finger, and middle finger off, or that someone did it to him, but I believed him. While I write this, I'm beginning to think that it was love blinding me that caused me to believe him, because anyone else would have just called the cops or thought that he had lost his mind. Not that I could blame them. As for my old man, he set me down to have a talk with me, but it wasn't the conversation of how being gay was wrong like he always did. Instead, he was worried about the fact that Wanda saw me at the restaurant talking to the empty seat in front of me. I looked confused as to what he said, but I was also now angry with Wanda. I kept thinking that she must have finally caved in with Dad's bigoted ways in order to put me away. An argument ensued, and I just left the house in the dead of night. The only things I took with me were my chargers, my laptop, and my phone. The thoughts kept racing through my mind. The only family I knew were absolute trash, and I hate them. I don't have a home. I just want to cry into Marcelo's chest. I hid away in the dimly lit park till I eventually calmed down. That's when I saw him. He was 2 park benches away from where I sat. He was crying in a way that I didn't expect. Marcelo looked like he had been crying for hours before I got there. I stopped crying and tried to clean my face up before approaching him. That's when I realized that he was now missing his hand. It took me hours before I could get him to calm down. I offered to take him home, but he said not to bother. When I pressed for more information, he said,
My parents don't remember me, Tristan. I thought that was because I came out as gay. But it wasn't.
He said as he began sobbing again. I let him calm down and just sat there. I let him cry into me and just let him talk.
My pictures disappeared. Not photoshopped or poorly cropped out. It was exactly the same family pictures, but as if I was never in any of them. My parents thought I was just some crazy kid and threatened to call the cops on me if I didn't leave. They said that they never had a kid.
Do you think they just went too far to pretend that you don't exist? I said curiously. He was convinced that this all had to do with the damn flowers. He said he immediately went to his neighbor's door to beg and pleaded for mercy. All she said to him was that you reap what you sow, thief. Part of me couldn't help but to agree with the old hag, but this was my boyfriend. The only one, besides Wanda, who stood up for me. So, against my better judgment, I traveled to Marcelo's neighbor's house. The vibe I had gotten from it made me freeze in place. I was unsure of what to say. I knocked on the door, and it slowly creaked open. It was so dark within the house itself that it looked like all the light in the room was swallowed whole. I jumped at least 3 feet off the ground when the old lady slowly walked out of the shadows.
So, now the flower thief sends his boyfriend to fight for him?
She said sarcastically.
It's cute, but it won't work. He will reap what he sowed, until no one remembers him, and he simply fades away.
She said with a laugh. She wasn't the stereotypical witch with jagged teeth or all that Hollywood crazy nonsense. She was really pretty, but I was still furious with her. I think it helped me gain the courage to challenge her. This is the part of why I'm typing this whole story out and trying to spread the story around. I bet my existence against this bitch's curse. If I got enough people to see this story, she should reverse her curse upon me and my boyfriend, Marcelo. If not, well, I'll be forgotten too. Love makes you do stupid things, but hey, at least I'll have Marcelo with me if anything should happen to us. Wanda, if you somehow see this, please note that I'm sorry. Please, don't forget about me too.